So, Leanne, the plight of the Scottish Wildcat, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's one of those where we have this amazing creature in the UK that hardly anyone knows about. So they actually used to roam all across Britain, and they were pushed to the edge of extinction around the time of the First World War. But obviously with the First World War there was a lot of gamekeepers that went off to fight and didn't come back, so pressure got relieved a little bit in terms of that sense, and they started to come back, but they're suffering quite a lot at the moment because they can hybridise with domestic cats. And I read recently that the RSPCA think there's about 7.4 million pet cats in the UK. There's only 95, they think, wildcats. So that's a huge disproportion, and they can't find their own kind to breed with. That's the main problem they're facing.
Okay, and so you've been up there in the wilds of Scotland. What was that like?
It was interesting. A lot of people probably wouldn't have gotten along too well with it because we weren't just camping the entire time. We were camping in the middle of nowhere, so we weren't even on campsites. That can be quite tough in itself, especially with the Scottish weather being known to kind of do its own thing. So April, for example, we woke up at a campsite in the Cairngorms. It was one of the few times we did use campsites. We woke up to 6 inches of snow on our tent in the middle of April. So it doesn't always do what you'd like it to do, which can be tough, but it's also the little things that you wouldn't necessarily consider. So how do you charge batteries when you're in the middle of nowhere? Have you got enough food to take with you? Have you got enough space in your tent for you, your equipment, everything to sleep with? It can be tough. It's a little bit odd because I have cats myself. I've got 3, and one in particular, he's half Bengal, and he's quite fat as well. So I kind of expected them to be about his size, but they're actually quite a bit bigger. And especially when you get home after seeing them and you just realise how small domestic cats really are in comparison. They're anywhere between 25 and 50% bigger than your average domestic cat. So they have this kind of really interesting aura. They are really truly wild, and you can tell that from the first time you meet them. I mean, the captive ones, for example, that we've been filming, they don't make any noise. You'd expect them to make some noise when they move around and things, but they just don't. The only time one of them made a noise was because he's getting on a bit and he was coughing. He's 12 years old, so I think we can forgive him for that. But yeah, it's kind of incredible. You spend so much time researching these animals and then they kind of take you back when you see them for real. We were out filming one night, hoping to see them. We'd taken a load of bait, so we went to the local pet shop and bought a load of dead mice. Not the best thing for my tenant to have found in our freezer, but still. So we took the mice out to an area where we had heard they visited quite regularly. There's a couple of houses that see them on a weekly basis, if not more frequent. And we put these mice out and set the cameras up. And we got dead excited because we noticed that the mice were going missing when we were leaving and coming back to it. And then we realised this barn owl comes flying in. We're like, we're feeding a barn owl, we're not feeding cats. I have no problem with feeding barn owls, but it was a bit frustrating at the time. It's a really nice shot though, it just literally flies through. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating at the time, but quite funny when you think back on it. Until recently I had a full-time job. I decided to leave that job to focus on the film, and that job was actually funding all of production, alongside a few kind of helps with family funding. So we've bought equipment, rented equipment, been loaned, very kindly loaned equipment from local suppliers and big names that people would recognise at the end of the film. I'm not sure I can talk about them there. So it's not been funded, like you say, traditionally with grants and things, but we are now looking at crowdfunding for post-production. That's where we're getting other professionals in to help us with the edit, with the composing of music, colour grading. So how you shoot it is very different to how it looks at the end. And we're actually having an animation in there as well, so we need an animator. And so crowdfunding is really helping to kind of fund those guys, because it's really important to me. You know, it's my passion project, but at the end of the day, they're working professionals. I need to pay them, so